I've always known that having a twin is like having two lives. You share your face, your voice, and even your soul. But what if half of that soul dies and dies with it, taking with it everything that makes you, you? My name is Alex. Or was it Aaron? I still have difficulties telling the difference between the memories and the horror. Aaron and I were always together when we were kids. As in most twin relationships, we couldn't be apart. We would finish each other's words, make fun of each other, and like the same things. Not at all. It was more than that for us. We had this strange, unsaid bond. We could talk without words. Just a look was enough. It was almost as if we didn't have different thoughts, one mind, one awareness, and split into two bodies. We agreed early on that we'd follow medicine together, like many twins do. Only we were more skilled. Gynecology. I still remember our peers' faces when we both succeeded, working smoothly in combination, as if we were one surgeon in two bodies. I used to joke about how the Mantle twins in the movie Dead Ringers were amateurs compared to us. I don't think anyone found it funny, but Aaron would laugh. I knew he understood. I wish I could say everything changed when Claire came into our lives, but no. Things had already started decaying before that. Claire, though, she was the finishing nail in the grave. I was operating that morning, the steady sound of the heart monitor ringing through the clean room. Aaron, as always, stood beside me, setting instruments and directing my hands when necessary. But something was different that day. I felt his fingers shake slightly when he gave me the knife. A strange cold chill ran up my spine. I glanced up at him, my mask hiding my surprise. His eyes were glazed over, as if he were somewhere else. "Are you okay?" I whispered, even though we never really needed words. He gave me a faint nod, but his hand shook again. A small rumble. It was slight, but enough to make me worried. The surgery went easily, of course. It always did. We were pros. The patient would never know there was a dark mood in that room. But something was off. I could feel it. Later, I found Aaron in our shared office, sitting behind his desk, looking into the big mirror that hung on the wall. He did that occasionally, as if he were fascinated by his own image. But this time there was something disturbing about it. His eyes were blank, and he was running his fingers over his face to determine if it was his. "Stop that," I mumbled, feeling a knot of dread in my stomach. He didn't answer. Instead, he stood up and walked closer to the mirror, pushing his face against it. His breath fogged the glass. "Do you ever feel like you're not real?" he asked softly, so faint that I could barely hear him. "Like you're just a reflection of me?" I didn't know what to say to that. I felt the same sometimes. Could two people live in each other's shadows so successfully that you forget yourself? I hated the feeling that crept up my spine whenever I thought about it. Instead of answering, I left the room. That's when Claire walked into our lives. Claire was patient, but Aaron found her interesting. He made her laugh with his cold charm, and she was drawn to his confident air. It wasn't long before he had her wrapped around his finger. I didn't mind at first. It's not like I was interested. Then one evening, Aaron approached me with an offer. "Why don't you take her tonight?" He said this standing in front of the glass as always, fixing his hair. "She won't know the difference." I recoiled. "What the hell are you talking about?" "She thinks we're the same. Same face, same voice. It'll be fun. You should try it." I felt a sick twist in my gut. We'd shared women before, but never like this. I didn't want to fool her, but part of me, God help me, was interested. Could I step into his life and take what was his, just as he took mine every day without even realizing it? Against my better sense, I agreed. That night, I stood in front of Claire's apartment, my heart racing. I knocked on the door, feeling an odd sense of separation as she opened it and smiled, believing I was Aaron. We spent the evening together, and to my horror, She never noticed the change. I felt a strange pleasure, but it was short-lived. I wasn't Aaron. Not really. I could never be him, but the ruse was too easy. It became an unexpected game after that. Aaron and I would switch places, passing Claire between us without her knowing. But over time, the cracks started to show. I could see Aaron breaking. He became obsessed with the idea that we were replaceable and would not exist without me. He stopped distinguishing between us, calling himself by my name. And sometimes, I swear, he would look at me as if he didn't know me at all. It was a slow slide into craziness, one I hadn't expected. One night I woke up to the sound of glass breaking. I ran into the bathroom to find Aaron looking into the broken mirror, his hands bleeding from where he had punched it. "I can't stand it anymore," he screamed. His voice booming in the small room. "I don't know who I am. I can't tell where I end and where you begin." His blood smeared across the broken pieces, mirroring 1,000 shattered pictures of us, of me, of him. And in that moment, I realized he wasn't just losing his mind. He was losing himself to me. The next few days were a blur. I dodged him as much as I could, but it was impossible to fully escape. We were joined, tied together by something more than blood. Claire started to notice the changes in our behavior, the slight differences. She approached us one evening wanting to know the truth. "Which one of you is which?" she asked, her eyes moving between us. I can't tell anymore." Aaron laughed, a cold, hollow sound. "Does it matter? We're the same." But I knew, deep down, that it did matter. To Claire, to me, to him. I could see the fear in her eyes, the growing horror of what we had done. We had blurred the line between us so much that even we couldn't tell the difference anymore. I wanted to tell her the truth, to end this nightmare, but the words stuck in my throat. That night, Aaron disappeared. I looked everywhere, but he was gone. The only sign he left behind was a blood-stained note on our office's mirror. "There is only one of us now." The weeks that followed were a mess. I felt his departure like a ghost leg, always there but not there. Sometimes I would catch my image in the mirror and swear I saw him standing behind me, a twisted smile on his face as if he were waiting for me to take his place. The thing is, I'm not sure if Aaron ever really left. When I look in the mirror, I can still hear his words in my head and feel his presence. Sometimes I wonder if I'm really Alex, or if I've become him. The worst part is, I don't know if I care anymore. If you could never tell who you really were, could you still trust yourself? Or would the mirror hold a truth too scary to face?